Hello, my name is Madara, and today I have the privilege and the honor to introduce you to someone you need to know, a business guru, a marriage counselor. In this time, someone who is thriving. Today, I have the privilege to introduce you to Mr. Kunle Ologe. Welcome, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Madara. It's good to be here, good to be interviewed by you.
It's my honor, my pleasure. It's all mine. I've known you for a long time. You always have advice to give me. You always have a problem. Even when I don't have any problem, there's always one word of advice. I know, yes, Coach Kunle has told me something today. Tell me, sir, is it from past experience? Is it life lessons? Do you have it all written down? Did you learn it somewhere?
I think I'd want to attribute it more to life lessons. I've been privileged to actually see quite a lot of life in the short time that I've lived this life, and it's given me some insight into so many things. One thing that I've always done all my life is to ask questions when I don't know, and when I ask questions, I get answers. And so when I see people in the same situation, I'm propelled to also help them out, to give them the answers so that they don't make the wrong mistakes, take the wrong steps. And so life is short, and every step, every time matters. So if you have somebody who already has walked that path, I think it makes it easier for you to actually get advice for that person. So I don't have them written down. I don't have them written down. I just kind of bring them up as I see the need.
I've already picked up advice from that. Ask questions. Life is short. Take risks. Can you hear? So, sir, tell us, how did you become a business guru? How did you become Coach Kunle? Everything, the brand, everything that is you. Where did it start from?
Okay, I think my business sense, or should I say financial sense, stemmed from adversity. And you'll find out in the world that truly a lot of people actually grow from adversity. So adversity is not altogether a bad thing. Of course, it's hurtful. Of course, it takes you through a lot. But adversity also helps you to wake up. A lot of people don't wake up in time, and they just live in that life of comfort without knowing that there's so much more to life. So mine, I think, started from adversity, and that adversity was the adversity of my dad, who was a lecturer, university lecturer, renowned university lecturer, a professor. So we lived quite a comfortable life, and all of a sudden he was suspended, and then he was sacked from the university system. And so we dropped from yay high to low. We dropped from being able to eat 6, 10 meals if we wanted a day, to not knowing the next meal to eat in the morning. I mean, not even having pap, to take. And that pushed me as a young child to want more. And now realized that my dad had worked so hard. I mean, he had worked so hard for the country. He was one of those who did the first geological survey of Abuja, the Abuja region that in the 70s. And he had done so much, yet without a real cause, he was booted out. And all of a sudden, everything he relied on was gone. And so I made a decision that I will never leave my finance in the hands of any man or any system. So no one man or no one system should have the finance of Kunle Ologe in their hands. And I began to look for ways out. Okay, so I think that was what propelled me and made me start looking for how I could sustain myself outside any system.
Not one man, nobody should own all your finances. Advice. Sir, I know you as a marriage counselor, but before then, you were working in Zenith Bank. Can you tell us your experience in the banking sector?
Oh yeah, interesting experience. So I worked for Zenith Bank for 18 years, from 2005 to 2023. Yes, and I started right at the very bottom, being employed as what we knew then, or what was known then as an executive assistant. And I grew over the years, grew and grew and grew until I got different appointments at different times I was appointed as the head of operations of a branch, and did that for about 5 years. Um, Went into marketing and then was appointed as branch manager. Did that for about 6 years before voluntarily retiring from the banking system to face what it is that I'm doing now. So it was an interesting run. Funny enough, I didn't want to be a banker. Yeah, I didn't want
And
to
you
be a
stayed there for
banker.
that long.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a banker. In fact, in the university, I was one of those who said that I will not be a banker because bankers don't have time. And I already knew, because remember, I told you that I started looking for ways to make money, and that was when I entered the university. And because I saw that time, I realized that time was money. And so I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to get stuck in any job, especially banking. So everybody around me knew that I would not do banking. However, when God orchestrates things, you really don't know. So I had a friend who had written the test and said, look, you're smart, go and write the test. So I wrote the test. Then, of course, I passed the test and he said, you're smart, do the interview. So I did the interview. And I remember very well when they called me to say that I was successful and I should resume. At that time, I was busy organizing a workshop somewhere in Niger State. And to show you that I was not really keen on doing banking, I told them that I couldn't come. Yeah, I told them I couldn't come. I told them that I was busy and couldn't come. And I thought they would let me go. But they were dogged. The person who called me from the HR said, okay, so when would you like to come? And I just spawned out a date. I said, okay, in 3 weeks. And they said, done. So that was how I got into the bank. And I don't regret it, because my financial knowledge actually grew. And I now understood why God orchestrated that move for me to get into the bank. Because what I learned in my 18 years in the bank, I wouldn't have learned it outside the bank. So that helped me also to build my financial acumen. And of course, more importantly, I met my wife in the bank. So that was another plus for me, a very big plus for me. It was an interesting time, interesting run in the bank.
So the transition from the banking sector to your own private business, how did you handle that? Finances? Because now we can say, oh, the bank pays to a certain amount of money that you can live comfortably. But now you left the bank and you went into your own private sector, your own private business. How did you manage finances? Was it a rough patch or was it just a smooth sail? What happened?
So I tell you a story. So about some weeks into me leaving the bank, I got a call from one of my former colleagues, branch managers, who the meeting was just starting. Okay, so we have this management meeting. No, it's good. So we have this management meeting once every week, and the meeting was just about to start. It starts at 8 o'clock every day of that week. And as it was going to start, she called me up to say she wanted to wake me up, and that she was very sure that I would still be sleeping since I was no longer a banker. And I told her I was sitting in my office, and she was shocked. It wasn't yet 8 o'clock. And she said, you mean you still wake up early? I said, of course I wake up early. I still go to work the way I go to work. I still work. I even work harder, than I used to work in the bank. And this just shows you that the transition was actually smooth. And this was something that was planned. My wife and I got married 15 years ago. And one of the things we did before we got married was to build a marriage plan. Now, even this move was in that marriage plan. And so everything was planned for. So I didn't just leave the bank like people thought. No. It was very well planned for. In fact, I actually was ready to leave the bank 1 year before I left. So 1 year before I left, I was already ready to leave the bank. However, I had made a promise to my boss, and she had been such a good boss to me. And I made a promise to her that I was going to get to a certain target that she had given me. So I didn't leave until I got to that target. That was when I went to tell her that I was going to leave. So my transition was smooth. I left the bank, I think it was on a Wednesday, and on Thursday, I was seated in my own private office doing my business. So it was smooth, no financial hassle. In fact, I was already making my salary comfortably in the bank. I was making my salary comfortably for about a year before I even transitioned.
Wow. Wow, that's all I can say. So we know about the history of the Marriage Sim Academy. We know
Yeah.
how it started, we know when it started, we know the beginning stages. But what we don't know is when the Kunle Ologe business mentorship started. Tell us what brought about the need to create that.
Okay, so maybe I should start from my story in business,
Okay.
or my journey in business. Now, when my dad had that failure, I was just finishing more or less, well, not finishing, I was in secondary school. And so it was a hard time in secondary school, but my parents did everything to make us as comfortable as possible. I remember one day they came for a visiting day and brought nothing. I mean, all they could bring, they couldn't even bring food for us to eat. They only appeared there at the visiting day to say hello and brought us just some things to just nibble on. And I remember seeing my my junior brother who was with me in that secondary school. I remember looking at his face and how disappointed he was,
Mm.
because days before then we had reminisced and we had thought together and said, look, wow, this we can't wait for visiting day. And here was visiting day and there was nothing. And I just looked at his face and I just started crying. I think it was the cry of a senior brother who didn't know what to tell his junior brother after, and my dad, I could see in his eyes the pain. I don't know how he did it, but he came back the next, it was on a Sunday. He came back on Monday and he brought us something. I don't know how he did it. I don't know what he did, but he brought us something. And that's just to show you, what my parents did, because I knew how hard it was. So when I entered university, by the time I entered university, the issue was still on with the university. My dad, of course, had gone to court to fight the case. And so it was still tough. And I just knew that I had to find a way. And so I found a way of making cards, and that's a story maybe for another day. And I found a way of making handmade cards. Started making handmade cards and started selling it in the university to students. And I'll personalize it, and I was doing very well. I mean, I was selling an average of about what, 10 cards every day.
Business group.
Yeah, I was selling an average of about 10 cards every day at 50 naira per card. That was a lot of money then, because then student food, a plate of student food was 30 naira. So 3 cards will give you your meal outrightly. And so I got people to also market for me. So I didn't sell it myself. I made the cards, and I got young ladies, students also, to go out and market it. And I struck a deal with them. So as a businessman, you can't be greedy. Let me start giving the business advice now. As a great businessman, you can't be greedy. So I will take 40 naira and they will take 10 naira. So for them, if they sold 10 cards, that was 100 naira. That was food for a day. So that was how I started to do business. And I continued in that all through my university days, delved into making arts also and selling in restaurants, got a friend to help sell in restaurants and so on. And eventually I continued in business. So I never really stopped business from then. So all through my years, even as a banker, at my spare time, I was trading. I was always selling something. I was selling shirts, I was selling ties, I was selling shoes. I got married and we continued. My wife and I have sold all kinds of things. We've sold onions, that didn't go too well. We've sold beans, we've sold goats, we've sold computer gadgets, we've sold female shoes, male shoes, name it. We've sold almost everything that you can think of that is legal. and this. So I've always done business, and along the line, I've always helped people to see that they can do business. I've helped people to realize that they could actually do something on the side while working. We have a lot of free time that we do nothing with as people.
Yes.
I told you at the beginning, I said time is very important in business. Time is a currency. And we have a lot of free time that we do nothing with as people. We just waste it away. While my mates wasted their, well, I won't call it waste, but used it on things that they wanted to do, I used a lot of my free time doing business. And that helped me to understand business. Of course, the bank also helped me to understand finance and money and everything. And it gave me a leverage. And so, 1 year before I stepped out of the bank, I now started the Kunle Ologe Business Mentorship, where I would help business people to go into their business, look at it, review it, help them to see what it was that they were not doing well, and help them to become profitable. And then for people who didn't have businesses but wanted to start a business, help them to start one. And I started doing this, and that was what birthed the Kunle Ologe Business Mentorship. So the Kunle Ologe Business Mentorship is just me transferring my wealth of knowledge in finance to other people to also help them to create wealth. I have something I call the Family Finance Empire. I teach this at the Married Seal Academy. So the Family Finance Empire is that empire you should build. Every family should build it. Every couple should build that empire where you can live wealth for your children, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. We follow the great men of God, the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. One thing that was unique about every one of them is that each of them left wealth for their children. So Abraham left for Isaac. Isaac left for Jacob. Jacob left for the entire Israel, where he was Israel. And so Jacob left for Israel. Israel is still the wealthiest, whether you like it or not. Israelites everywhere, Jews, still form the wealthiest people around the world. So wealth is something that you need to create. It's not optional. You should. We erroneously have this notion that our children will take care of our financial needs. That's wrong. It's actually not biblical. What the Bible says is that a good father leaveth an inheritance for his children's children, not just for his children. Children's children. So your children should enjoy it. Their own children should enjoy it. Then maybe you can stop there, and then your children will take over and shift it a generation further, and so on. So this was my journey into the Kunle Ologe Business Mentorship. So right now in the Kunle Ologe Business Mentorship, we run mentorship programs, 3-month mentorship programs to help people. We run courses to help people understand finance. And all of that. We also invest in people's businesses, people who have good business ideas. We invest in them. So that's how it was better.
What would you say was your greatest achievement as a businessman when something happened, you struck that pot of gold and you said, this is why I'm a businessman. This is why I love this, what I do?
That's a tough question. So let me explain why it's a tough question. So my wife and I, over the last 15 years, have grown organically. When it comes to business, finance, wealth, we've grown organically. So you won't say there's one boom that happened, because everything has been organic. We've just grown one step, and that's something I want to also mention here, to tell people that you grow. It's one step after the other. There's this new mentality, what I'll call the blow mentality, where people are just looking for that one transaction, that one hit to just, explode and become that wealthy man or that wealthy woman. And that, unfortunately, is not how it works. So how it works is that you grow. Even the patriarchs that we spoke about, they grew. Wealth didn't land on them one day. They grew one step after the other. So I can't tell you that there's one particular thing there are so many things that we have developed over the years. My wife and I have various business concerns, doing different types of businesses and bringing in different kinds of income. And one of the things that I teach people is how to make money. And I teach people you don't make money in one way. You need to make money in several ways. In fact, there is what you call the 7 streams of income, and you know that's something that I'm going to be teaching in the course that is coming up. So we have a course we do every year, how to make 1 million for your family, and this course teaches you 3 major things: how to make money, how to manage money, and how to multiply money. Make money, to manage money, to multiply money. These three help to encompass the process of wealth creation. I also want to at this point say there's a difference between riches and wealth. People mix the two. So riches is you having money in your bank account. So you have 100 million, 500 million in your bank account. You say, wow, I'm rich. So that's you being rich. The test of wealth is if I block that bank account, can you continue to live your life as you are living it at the same level, at the same comfort? If you can't, then you are not wealthy, you are just rich. And what I teach is how people get wealthy, not rich. So you may see somebody, he may not have ₦1 billion in his account, but he's wealthier than the person that has ₦1 billion because he has various sources of income, money coming from different sources. And those are the things that now make him a wealthy man. So you can't pinpoint one thing and say this thing, we block it and he stops having money. No, he has a multitude of various business concerns bringing him money and creating wealth through it. So back to your question, there's no one thing that I can point out. Of course, I can tell you we have several companies, we have several businesses, we deal in property, and all of that. There's no one thing that is explosive. It has been an organic growth and it continues.
You mentioned how people always are waiting for that one transaction that will take them everywhere. And then we've seen a lot of quick, scams, money scams. You get rich quick. I'm sure that time you're just wondering, why are people falling for all of this?
Yeah.
But from your experience in all your years of business, is there anything you have done, any mistake you've made that just kept you so low that you said, I can't do this again?
Oh yeah. Every good businessman must have had some pitfalls, and that's what makes him a good businessman. So the pitfalls, you learn from them, and then you grow out of them. So off the top of my head, I remember once I had a barbing salon. Yeah, so I opened a barbing salon one of those years. That was before I got married. I think a year before I got married.
Okay.
And for that whole year, I didn't make money from it. Now I opened it and I wanted it to be exclusive. I wanted it to have everything. I opened it somewhere a little bit not in the center of town, but I wanted it to look like it was in the center of Abuja. So I spent a lot of money. I think I spent over 500,000 then. This was in 2008 or 2007. Yeah, 2008. I spent over 500,000 naira. So this was like all my savings. I put it together, created this business, and the people just ran it down. And I kept pumping money into it. In fact, I made the mistake of saying I'll pay them salaries. That's why when you want to get into business, you need to get a mentor. You need somebody who will show you. I thought I knew everything about barbing because I go to a barbing salon. So I assumed I knew everything about barbing, but I didn't. And I got these guys, and I was paying them salaries instead of paying them commission. And so I didn't know that they were actually making money, but they were consuming it. So it was when I got married, and of course my wife knew about the barbing salon before we got married, and so she said, okay, so this is our barbing salon, everything now became ours. So she was concerned. So this barbing salon, you said it's not making money. Okay, let me take some time off work and just go and sit down there and see what's happening. The week she sat down there, they made their highest sale ever.
Wow.
And that was when we realized that these guys constantly were making money, but they were just putting it to one side for themselves and saying that they were not making money.
And receiving salary. Wow.
So I now realized that the problem was monitoring. So there was nobody actually monitoring what was happening there. And I didn't have anybody, and I was working in the bank then, so I didn't have the time. to monitor them, so I had to shut it down. So that was one business I closed, but I learned from it. I learned a lot from that business. So that's one example of the failed business.
So back to your course, how to make money for your family. You told us about just three things: how to make money, how to multiply money, how to manage money, and then how to multiply money.
You're a good student.
So is there anything else you should be expecting? Maybe to break some myths? Like, are there going to be little, what else should we look forward to this course?
So maybe I should put it this way. Last year when we held this course, um, immediately after the course, about 1 week after the course, I had the first person reach out to me to say, Coach, I just made my first million.
Oh.
Then a second person, I just made my first million. And the calls and chats just kept coming in. Because what I did was to help to break some mental limitations. A lot of us have mental limitations when it comes to making money. And those limitations stop us from even seeing that we can actually create wealth.
Yes.
So one of the things that you will get from that course is that your mental limitation on finance will be broken. The second thing, of course, is that you will be told how to actually make money. There's so many ways that you can make money. And these ways are looking at us every day. We're seeing them every day and we're passing by. So you're going to see what you can actually do, practical things that you can do to actually make money. Now, that's not the biggest problem in wealth creation. The biggest problem is actually money management. So a lot of people make money. I mean, everybody earns an income in one way or the other, either a wage or a salary, or they're doing business. But the problem is, how do you manage it? Now, quickly, I digress. While I was in the bank, my wife and I built our first house just 2 years after we got married. I had bosses who didn't even have a plot of land, who are earning almost times 10 of what I was earning. But they didn't have a plot of land. Now, the problem was not the money. So you can see it's not about how much you make. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. They think it's about how much you make. No, it's not about how much you make. It's about what you can do with what you make. So we're going to sit people down and teach them practically how to manage the money that they make. And then finally, we'll teach how to multiply the money. So money in your so you've made money, you've managed it well. You have to multiply it, because if you don't, things like inflation will eat it up. And then what you think you had in the bank, for instance, if you had ₦1,000,000 in your account as at January 2023, it's probably down to a value of 300,000 right now. So yes, it's still ₦1,000,000 in the bank, but what you can buy with it will be what you could buy with 300,000. So it's no more worth ₦1,000,000. So I mean, these are some of the things we're going to help you to understand, so that you know that keeping money in the bank, yes, there's a place for keeping money in the bank. There's also a place for investing that money or multiplying that money. That is something else we're going to teach. So the three things, those three components actually cover all the little things that we will now teach to help you to create wealth. Making money, managing money, multiplying money. It's going to be a bomber. I mean, it's like I said, last year was explosive. And I know people who were there last year will come again this year to join again this year. And then we'll have much more people. Already we have people who have started registering. We just opened the registration and we already have people registering for the course. So, and the good thing is that we have put the course at an affordable price. Because we want more people. The economy right now in Nigeria does not encourage you to sit down and do nothing. I mean, if you sit down right now and do nothing and you're just relying on your paycheck, you are going to run into a lot of problems. Too many challenges. So you cannot sit down. So everybody needs to be at that training. You have a job, you need to be there. You do a business, you need to be there. You do nothing, you need to be there. Yes.
So sir, how can we reach you? Everybody that is watching this must know, I need to make money. I need to come and meet him. So how can we reach you?
Okay, so we have a number which will probably be scrolling on the screen right now. And that number, you can reach us on that number. Send a WhatsApp chat 09060639627. 09060639627. So if you send a WhatsApp chat on that number, and you just put finance, or you just put money, or you just say whatever it is that has to do, or you just say wealth, they will reach out to you, and there's a dedicated person who is always on that line will reach out to you and give you all the details that you need to know about the course, and about if you want a one-on-one coaching on finance. We'll give you, I coach a lot of people in their businesses. I had somebody once who had been doing a business, but she never could see the tangibility of the business. She couldn't see the money she was making. So I came into the business, and I was in that business for about 6 months. And at the end of that year, she made 17 million. And that was the first time she was actually seeing, and she was like, "What, you mean I can come out with 17 million from this business?" And I said, "Yes, you can come out with more." Right now, the last record that she showed me, in a year, the last year that she showed me, that was for 2023, she made well over 50 million.
Wow.
So knowledge. All we need is actually knowledge. But you see, people want that blow mentality. They want you to just come and tell them there's just turn this key and the money will start flowing. It doesn't work that way. There's a process. So you need to learn that process and stop looking for Ponzi schemes, to the get rich quick. Every billionaire you see today did not get rich like that. You need to go and watch their documentaries. They started one step on the other. Today they are billionaires because exponential growth. So you move from 100,000 to 1 million. From 1 million you can move to 100 million. From 100 million you can move to a billion, and so on. And that is how it is. So they can reach out to us on the number that is on the screen, and we will give them all the details that they need.
Thank you so much, sir. I have learned. I have taken notes. So what's one last advice you'd like to give everyone that's listening to you right now?
One last advice. So I think I would like to re-echo the words of this great man of God who has been a great influence in my life, Bishop David Oyedepo, that says, "Men are in sizes and life is in phases. Live your phase part time." That is one word that everybody needs to understand.
You heard it here first. The Kunle Ologe Business Mentorship is holding a course, How to Make a Million for Your Family. September 6th to 7th. Don't miss it. 15,000 naira only. Registrations are open. The number is displayed on the screen. Reach out to us and we will get back to you.